glad you found New Friends, my podcast. I'm Jordana, I'm 20, I live in Nashville, and I moved here right after graduating high school to pursue my dream of being a singer-songwriter, which basically means I skipped the whole college thing and dove headfirst into trying to make music and make sense of life at the same time. I started New Friends because I wanted to create the kind of space I've always needed, a place to talk about the things we're all trying to figure out: friendship, confidence, self-worth, following your own path, and everything in between. Some episodes are solo, some are with guests, sometimes the conversations even turn into songs, but every episode is rooted in honesty, vulnerability, and feeling a little less alone. I'm so happy you're here. Welcome to New Friends. Hey, welcome back to another episode of New Friends. I'm Jordana Bryant, and today's episode is really special. We have, oh, stop laughing.
We have an old friend.
Rick Barker.
She says that to everyone.
What do I say?
This is so special. This episode is so special.
No, most of the time I say I'm really excited for today's guest. We have the super talented.
That's right.
I need to figure out a better way to introduce people.
That's okay, though.
We have this guy who kept asking to come on the podcast. Eventually,
From
we just
day one.
couldn't say no. No, Rick is incredibly talented and successful. If you guys don't know his story, it's a really impressive one, both from everything that you've overcome in your life to also the artists that you've gotten to work with, the impact that you've had on so many people's careers. I think that most people know you from being Taylor Swift's first manager, but you have so much more to your story than that. And I'm very grateful that we get to work together now. Rick has been, we've been working together since I was 14, but you've been really managing me for the last 2 years, and it's been a really incredible journey. So I'd love to give you a little space to talk about your story and how you got to be managing the biggest artist in the world and what brought you to that point.
It's crazy. First off, I'm excited to finally get to sit in the chair and hang out with you.
It's a special day for him.
That's right. It's a big day. We're representing Jessica Abo, her Unfiltered brand. I figured I would represent since she got us our big television appearance in Los Angeles.
That's a good point. Jessica, you should come on the pod.
Oh, that would be great.
Wouldn't that be a fun episode?
That would be, that would have to be a long episode because she's got a fascinating story.
Oh yeah, I know. So much to talk about.
As well. But for me, it was interesting because I've always been a huge fan of music. But I remember when I was 12 years old, on Sundays is when Casey Kasem and the Top 40 Countdown would come on. So I would take my boombox and I would insert a cassette and I would press record. And there was Casey Kasem, and that was my dream.
And for those who don't know, can you explain the word boombox and cassette?
Yes. So a boombox is about this big, depending, and it's what we used to have to listen to the radio and consume our music on. We didn't have CDs, and you couldn't walk around with a vinyl player. So a boombox, for those of you that don't know, should pick one up. They're classic. Did you ever see the movie
The Breakfast Club,
where he holds it up on his shoulder? Yes, that's it. That's a boombox. That's it. So that's a boombox. So I would record the countdown so I could get the music, but I also used it because I wanted to be Casey Kasem. And my dream got put on hold in high school. I was introduced to drugs at an early age and became addicted to crack cocaine and spent the years that I should have spent in college, homeless, arrested multiple times, basically went down a rabbit hole that I wouldn't wish on anyone. But it was just one of those things that I think has helped make me the person that I am today. I'm a very understanding person. I am one to not give up on people and encourage them not to give up on themselves, because I tried to give up on myself. On April 4th, 1989, I got on my knees and I said, God, let me die. So I tried to give up on myself, and obviously there were other plans involved. But when I got sober, I got to fulfill my dream of being on the radio, and I did that for a long time and created a couple things that got the interest of some folks here in Nashville. And one of those people was Scott Borchetta, who offered me a job to work for his brand new record label called Big Machine Records. And my first responsibility was to take this 15-year-old about getting ready to turn 16 and teach her the radio side of the business. And that was Taylor. And yeah, I mean,
it's a pretty amazing story.
We could go on, just go to my YouTube channel. It's all there. I call it pre-eras, helping raise the teenager.
I love that.
Yeah.
Did you ever, when you were getting to finally live your dreams, wonder if you were, because of your past and what you
Sure.
had gone through, if that was something that you deserved? Because I think that a lot of people struggle with feeling like they're worthy of what they want to be and what they dream to be.
Sure. I think for me, it was weird because that was in a time, this was in the early 90s, when you still had to fill out resumes and people would want to know, what college did you go to?
Mm-hmm.
What's your degree in? And I didn't have a degree. I had a degree on the streets. You know, I came from the school of hard knocks, but I think that's what probably, I don't want to say kept me out of the corporate world, because corporate never really interested me at all, but I was just grateful. I think what it did is that time that I spent, because I would see people that were more talented than me. I would see people that had gone to school for communications. I was seeing all of this. So I wasn't ever feeling like I wasn't worthy. I just was grateful that I got the chance, because I knew I could be good at it.
Yeah.
And it was a place in Santa Barbara when I was growing up. I call that, I grew up in my 20s. Most people grow up younger. It took me until I got in my 20s to start growing up. Is we had a very vibrant music scene in Santa Barbara. So I was getting to not only just be on the radio, but also my love of live music and my love of supporting artists. I didn't realize it was grooming me to be sitting here one day. You know, it was like there was all these little different things that happened in my life. I did a podcast episode of my own, and I said, if this didn't happen, then I wouldn't have met this person. If this didn't happen. And I went all the way back from parents getting divorced, from me moving to Alabama when I was 5 years old. I took it all the way back. So I've always just been more of a grateful person than a imposter syndrome kind of person.
You know, it's interesting. Tony Robbins says that the antidote to self-doubt is gratitude.
I like that.
Because when you feel grateful, it's almost like, I think, especially when it's tied to your faith, I find that like when I'm just really grateful for the opportunities that God has given me, I don't think about whether I deserve it or not, because it's not up to me to decide whether I deserve it. It's, you know, it is. And so I might as well do all that I can to make, you know, it worthwhile and to succeed.
I like that. And I also think too, is that because I'm also a believer, is there's a reason for everything, you know? And one of the things that people will come to me and they're like, hey, how you doing today? And I'm like, great, because I woke up and some poor person didn't, you know, and I deal a lot with musicians and they're always making excuses on why things can't happen. And I'm like, hey, if you have a pulse and a cell phone, you're winning, you know, because there's somebody who's just as hungry to do this music game as you, that doesn't have a phone, that lives in a country that doesn't allow them the opportunities that we have. But I think with my sobriety, and at the recording of this, I've been sober over 33 years. That's where that attitude of gratitude, it's like on a bumper sticker at AA meetings, but it's like the attitude of gratitude. And I'm like, okay, that's what I try to have. Yeah, I can get out of my own little pity party every now and then too, but I always try to just be grateful and appreciative and acknowledge others around me and hopefully draw those type of people into my world. You know, that's what's neat with you, is that we draw in who we're supposed to based off what we give. And that's why it's like everyone I talk to and I mention you, they're like, oh my God, I love her. I love her. I love her. Well, there was a time in my life where hopefully now people are saying, oh, he's such a good dude, because before they'd be like, watch out for that guy. Protect your belongings, you know?
I think it's such a great point that we hear all these quotes about your past does not equal your future.
Yep.
You know, the dead ends lead you to where you're meant to go. But I think it's so evident if you look for it.
Sure.
It's so apparent when you think about the things that you prayed to work out years ago and how they would have led you astray if they did work.
Sure.
And I think that it's very hard in the moment sometimes to remember that and to really feel that to your core. But I think that hearing people's stories like yours, like Jelly Rolls,
Sure.
people who have really overcome so much in their life, I think it's really inspiring to everyone who's watching to know that no matter where they're coming from, no matter what they've done that they're not proud of, that their life can be so full and fulfilling, and it can be everything that they want it to be.
But I think a lot of that also comes from the confidence to share my story, because everyone has a story.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I try to explain to people. It's like, because we live in a world, and you know this better than anyone, of judgment and
Mm-hmm.
social media, people are afraid to say what's really going on. They spend all this time trying to impress people they don't even know. And when I'm on stage, whether it be at the CD Baby Music Conference or in my podcast or on television, wherever it is, if I get a chance to tell a little bit about my story, as I always tell people, I said, listen, I'm not saying it because I want applause or attaboy, Rick. You know, I just know that somebody, either themselves or they know someone who's struggling. I'm just like, don't give up on them yet.
Yeah.
You know, don't give up on them yet. But I'm okay sharing that part of me. And a lot of people aren't, and I get it. And hopefully I pray that you have the willingness, because there's so many people that can be affected by our stories.
Mm-hmm.
The same way with your songwriting, you know, look at the sacrifices you made of not doing the proms and doing the traditional summer vacations with your friends because you were going back and forth to Nashville pursuing your dream. And that had an effect. You know, it's like you didn't get to have the normal high school experience either because you were chasing your dream. So you sharing that with people, when you started this podcast to talk about your eating disorders and your insecurities, people were like, whoa, really? You? Yeah, you.
Yeah. I think that it is really powerful when you find the confidence to tell your story. And it's so interesting that like so many of us do feel, I don't know if it's ashamed or insecure or afraid of judgment.
I think it's the judgment. I really do. I think because people afraid that doors will close because of it, or someone may not want to bring you into this particular room and you need to get into.
View you differently.
And it's like, get to know who I am as a person. I mean, in business, I spend as much time retracting the wrong people as I do trying to attract the right people, because I thought I could save everyone. And it just wasn't healthy. And it really started bringing me down there for a while. But I heard something, and I try to live by this, is that authenticity and vulnerability are the new credibility. Mm-hmm. So authenticity and vulnerability are the new credibility, because so many people are afraid to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I think that's where Jelly Roll won.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think also like there was a point where I was posting on TikTok and I felt like I wasn't seeing numbers, and I was like, I'm not cool. People like, I was like, I had this like, it was like a quarter life crisis where I was like, I'm not cool. Like, I can't do the TikTok dances.
That's right.
Like, my hand motions aren't cool. Like, I'm awkward. I don't dance well. Like, and then I was like, well, I guess maybe it's a good thing that I'm not cool, because there's cool people out there, but you don't relate to cool people. You don't feel like,
also
cool
too,
people
is you
can
were
give you
trying
advice.
to do what you thought was cool. And if it's not authentic to you, people will call BS.
Yeah, and people can see, like, I think that the reason why I love this podcast is because I love just talking and like going on tangents and having fun conversations with people and not like overthinking it. And I think that
getting panicked when it goes over 12 seconds or 15 seconds or can I get it all in on 30 seconds?
Or like it's so easy for me when I'm filming TikToks to be like, oh, one strand of hair was like in the wrong place there, or like whatever it is, or, you know, any small number of things. But when you're just like doing a whole podcast, you're not paying attention to it. And you're also like, well, we filmed it already.
That's
so
right.
It is what it is. There's no going back. But
that's what I loved when you first started the podcast, because there's some where your hair's up, and that would have never
Oh, I
happened
know.
before.
The glasses.
Yes.
The glasses never come out.
I'm like, oh, she's come such a long way.
Thank you.
Because
Thank you.
I make fun of her when we go do television appearances. I'm like, why do you need 3 hours of makeup and I can show up and I'm on the same set she's on and I just show up and I'm me. And
you don't understand. It's a long process.
I understand now. You've made it very clear. I'm like, you do you. But it's interesting because I look back at when you first started on social media, when we first started working together, and I was like, I don't want you to sing. I just want you to talk to people. And you would go live every night and you would just talk to people. Remember the screenshot selfies?
Oh my gosh, so fun.
Oh.
What a genius idea too, because when you add people onto your live, you can take a photo with them, take a screenshot, which is such a cool moment. And it's so fun getting to actually talk to someone. But at the same time, when someone else goes live with you, it goes out to their followers.
Well, that's what I was telling people. This was an ad when ads were really getting popular and they were like trying to create lookalike audiences. And a lookalike audience is, hey, if these people like this, maybe they'll like this. And I'm like, but all their friends like the same music. If you bring them up, then she could introduce themselves. But it was funny because and it's turned in this way on your virtual shows too. It's like, that's all people want to do is take pictures and hang out and ask questions. It's like the singing's almost become secondary anyway.
I know, isn't it funny?
It's not though, because I think people want connection.
Yeah.
And you've given them connection. I was with my golf buddies the other day, right after you were on the front page of the paper. So it's like Trump obliterated, Iran, and Jordana Bryant carving her own path, right?
Both equally important.
That's right.
Both equally front page stories.
But one of my guys, his name's Rocky. He's like 81 years old, and he's like, they all refer to you, that little girl you're working with. So
Aww.
You don't have a name. They're like, that little girl you're working with.
Well, I appreciate that they still think I'm little because I'm concerned at the fact that I'm turning 20 in a month.
She's a good speaker. That's what they said.
Aww.
She's a good speaker. She's very confident. And we just recently did a backyard concert at my house where Jordana performed and was actually under the weather that day. So she was sitting. Usually she's standing, but we had like 70 people in the backyard, all ages. Had all my golf buddies there. And at the end, what was neat was seeing all of them up there buying stuff for their grandkids that weren't there. They thought enough to be able to do this stuff. But the compliments that I kept getting, one, your vocals, my buddy Bob is like, oh my God, she's an amazing vocalist, but is your banter. The way that your confidence and the way that you just shared with people. And I think that's what really makes you different right now is this real compassion. There's a lot of people that fake it and, they act, that's just not you, but it was neat seeing it come from those people that had never met you before. Cause this was like a lot of them, it was very first time. I think 2 people follow you on Spotify, so they knew your songs, but the rest of them, you were brand new to them. And all they kept talking about was your poise and how well-spoken you were and the impact that they feel you can have because of the songs.
That's awesome.
And that's the way I felt when I talked to you about doing this podcast is I'm like, you're so much more than the music. Yeah, the music is the music and I love it. But there's more. I just felt this was going to bring people to your music because they were going to go, that's a special person. She's being real. She's being vulnerable. And oh my God, she can sing. And look, she plays piano. She plays guitar. She writes her songs, So that's what I've been excited about watching your growth and your development over the last 2 years is that you have been throwing some curveballs. You have experienced the highest of highs that all of a sudden turned into what some would consider the lowest of lows that most people would have quit. They would have left town over, and you just used it to make yourself stronger. And I'm like, okay, this is what it's all about. These are the lessons that people can learn is that, it's not always roses.
Yeah, it's not, but I think that the thorns of it make you appreciate the
Where
roses.
did you learn that? Because most people your age don't have that. I
don't know. I mean, I think that part of it definitely is my family. I feel like I'm I'm very lucky and I feel very grateful to have a family that just has that mindset. And my dad is someone that I look up to him so much, and I look up to his story and how he, you know, he was the first person in his family to go to college, and he loved music and was in a band, and
Sure.
he gave that up to be able to support his family and eventually provide for us. And he's always had such a gratitude about him. And I think that why choose to be resentful or to be sad when you can just be grateful for where you're at? And I find, you know, when you're in a big city and you see someone who's on the street selling tomatoes or something,
Right.
and they're so happy, like they're smiling ear to ear. They're the people who are winning in life.
Sure.
I mean, most of us could not fathom not having a home, living on the street, having to sell produce to hopefully make a few dollars that day. Most of us could not fathom that level of what we think is poverty. But the fact that those people are happier than a lot of people with so much more is pretty shocking.
It's eye-opening when you look at it like that, because a lot of them did not bring this homelessness onto themselves. I brought it onto myself. You know, my drug addiction, it wasn't like someone got evicted because they lost their job and they couldn't. But you'll see the people that'll give their last dollar and you'll say, wait, that's your only dollar. And but that's just how they believe. Do you think your parents getting you into the whole positivity, Tony Robbins? I was listening to a podcast and Nick D was the host, the guest, and he said a lot of the way he is today is because he was reading from the time he was a teenager positivity books and self-help books and really trying to, you think that whole, because by the way, if you guys don't know, have you talked about you walking on fire yet?
I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't, but
she walked on fire. I will this isn't not for me.
But let's set the scene. It wasn't like a cool, when I watched the video back, it was not the cool walk that I thought I did, like it was like mom walk.
It wasn't in slow motion.
But such a cool experience.
Right.
My family and I they had gone when they were dating to one of the Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within events. So this had to have been in the 90s. And then they took my brother when he turned 16, and they took me this year. And it's such a cool experience because of, one, the 3-day seminar where it focuses on really owning your worth and taking away the limiting beliefs that we say it so much, but you really are your own worst enemy, and your life will be at the level that you think you deserve.
Right.
And so many of the limits are really just, they're self-placed. And if you can get rid of that, you have so much more potential and so much more growth. And one of the examples of that they do in the 3-day seminar is having you walk on these like 3,000 degree coals. And it really shows you that it is mind over matter. Like you have so much more potential than you even can fathom. And I think that's really, when you, especially from a young age, when you are taught to not believe that you have any limits, I think that really makes a big difference. We say that kids can learn a language so much quicker than adults can. And I think that the language of confidence, of self-belief is something that the younger you learn it, the more natural it is.
I always tried empowering my kids. You know, it's like when you grow up poor, like I grew up on the free lunch program. My mom worked 3 jobs. I mean, she was I think that's where I got my hustling spirit from, is from my mother. But it's always like, you know, I'd always try to share, especially my son. I'm like, you know, be appreciative of what you have, because I told him one time from the socks to the shoes, I said, what you're wearing right now, it would have taken your grandmother a week to earn just what you're wearing right now. And as parents, you don't want your kids to want for anything, but you also want them to learn their lessons. And my daughter is like, she's gonna, you know, she's getting her master's in social work and things like that. But I just love, your outlook on things. Now all of a sudden I'm interviewing you, but
Oh, thank you.
where did your willingness to try things different come from?
That's a great question. I mean, I think that I've never been someone who follows the trend.
Because I bring weird stuff to you sometimes.
Which I love. I mean, I think that...
And Taylor loved it. We used to say weird wins. That was our motto.
Yeah. I mean, I think that like I've really tried to just be authentic in whatever I'm doing. And I was never like the person that everyone followed. I was never like in the center of everything. I was always doing my own thing. I think that because I always loved music and theater and songwriting, which was not like the normal thing. It was not like the in thing. I think I always just got used to doing things differently. And I also think that the people who I loved growing up did things differently. Like,
okay.
I loved Sarah Bareilles, who I had never seen a music artist write their own soundtrack to a Broadway musical before. Like, that's such a...
But she wouldn't write him a love song.
She wouldn't write him a love song. But that's such a different thing. And I'm sure there were so many people who were like, Sarah, no, that's not what a pop artist does.
Right.
Like, and so I think I loved that about the artist. And like Taylor Swift, the songs that she wrote were so vastly different than what else you would hear. You never heard songs about a high school experience, about growing up and being a teenager. And it was different, but that's why it was relatable. And I think that I guess I didn't even think about it being different, you know? I just thought about like, what do I want to do? And I like when you get to prove that something works that people don't think will work.
Well, the thing that comes to mind for me are the virtual concerts.
Yeah.
You're not the first person that I've ever said, hey, you should do virtual concerts. You were the first person who said, I'm going all in on these virtual concerts. Because what I would get from artists, and most artists, they love to blame others for why things aren't happening, or they love to make excuses. But Rick, it's not the same if I'm not live and on stage. And and you were just like, cool, let's try it. And the next thing you know, we're 100 people, 100 tickets. We made a huge mistake. The first time is we let everybody who bought a ticket get a meet and greet. How long was that first meet and greet?
Oh my gosh. It was like
did it get like the 4 something hours? I remember I said, I'll pick up my computer tomorrow at the front desk. I left. I had to bail out.
A weak person.
Yeah. It was like 11. I think it was
on
like
the ground.
It was like
11:30
11:30 going close to 12. And I'm like, and we were using my computer and I'm like, oh, I have to drive home. But most artists, if it doesn't seem cool, won't even try it, won't even experiment. And that's what I love, is that we get to try weird things. And it's funny because I coach other artists. I manage, Jordana's the only person that I manage, but I coach other artists. And a lot of what we do, we experiment with you. It's like, because you're like, no, let's try this. Okay, let's try these ads. Okay, you need me to do this. And I mean, you're editing your own podcast. You're shooting your own. I mean, if you guys could see the setup, you should need to take a picture of the setup in your bedroom.
Yeah.
Where we took like luggage and one little mount of a it's like
cables running everywhere, a ring light,
little microphone down at the bottom. It's like, it's been fun to watch, because it's, as much as we're carving your own path, someone's going to take a look at that and go, how did she do it? I think if I had one word to describe, it's your willingness, just willingness. Because most people aren't willing to be different. Most people aren't willing to get out of their comfort zone. Most people aren't willing to expose themselves. And I think willingness is what's going to allow you to win. And those people that are unwilling, you can't teach that. That's what I always said, with Taylor, it was the unteachables, the work ethic, the love of people. Yeah. It's like, it's genuine. And that's what I was explaining to someone. I was talking to someone and they said, what made her the best. I said, if you think about it, I was going to be speaking at a corporate with their sales department. I said, Taylor's probably the best salesperson in the world because she sells millions of CDs to people without CD players because they've invested in her.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of New Friends. I really hope you loved it. It would mean so much to me if you'd subscribe to my channel on YouTube and send this to someone who you think might enjoy it. Hope to see you in the next episode.